Hey everyone, welcome to a course that we are really excited to bring to you today. It is one of our most requested topics of the day, and that topic is Pinterest. So our presentation today is going to be 3 amazing Pinterest hacks that all authors should know about. My name is Roseanne Chang.
I'm Josie Robinson.
And we are the co-founders of Evergreen Authors. We feel really passionately that authors should find a sustainable and enjoyable way of getting their work out into the world. And we have found that Pinterest has actually been an amazing way to bring traffic to your website, let people know about your book. And it's kind of an underused resource, right, Josie?
It's absolutely an underused resource. And the thing I love the most about Pinterest is that with a lot of platforms, to get a lot of traffic to your site, you usually have to pay with advertising. And with Pinterest, it's all free. You can get a lot of traffic and grow an audience really quickly, all for free using Pinterest. It's awesome.
Yeah. Pinterest is really a powerful tool. And I think that a lot of authors aren't using it. And so that makes it an even more powerful tool because it's not saturated with a lot of books yet. So now is a really good time to hop on to Pinterest and learn how to use it to your advantage.
This is the perfect time to start using it. And especially now with what's going on in the world, there's so many people online. And I just got an email from somebody that I follow who's like a Pinterest marketer who talked about there are more people on Pinterest right now than there have ever been in the history of Pinterest because of how many people are home and just looking for ideas and inspiration. So for all of you watching this right now, this is the perfect time for you to up your game on Pinterest. I can't even tell you, like, I'm so excited about this presentation. So,
yep, absolutely. All right, should we get started?
Let's get started. Okay, so we've kind of talked a little bit, but why Pinterest? And it really is, it's like this hidden secret marketing goldmine for people. And I think the reason why it's such a secret is that I think most people just don't think of Pinterest as being a place that you can sell things or build a brand. Most people just think it's like, oh, don't you just go there to get recipes or craft projects or interior design inspiration.
It's and it can be a little bit daunting at first because you look at it and you're like, oh, I'm not quite sure how to use this, or, is this social media? Is it not social media? I can't quite figure it out. So, but once you get in there, you kind of realize that it's this sort of unique platform in that it's really not social media. And it's a place where people who kind of like Amazon, who are already looking for your book or looking for things about your book, can be led to your book cover and hopefully excited to buy it.
Totally. It's what I've heard it called is it's a search engine with a social component. And that's probably the best way to describe Pinterest. So here's some interesting statistics about Pinterest and why it's so powerful. So 90%, 92% of people use Pinterest to actually plan for purchases. So what that means is that it is a huge generator of sales for a lot of products. And I mean, if you think about how you use Pinterest, I'm an avid Pinterest user, just not just as an author, but just as like a regular person. I love Pinterest. And so I get so many ideas from Pinterest, and I honestly get frustrated a lot of the time when I get to a pin that I love and I can't buy what's on the pin.
Yep.
So a lot of people are doing their shopping on Pinterest. And I think the reason why Pinterest is so powerful, because it is so visual, for one. I mean, you can really see things and how they would look in your home or just how you can use them, But also the thing about Pinterest is that I think it kind of mimics the old school shopping experience, when you like go out to a shop and you kind of browse around and see something you like and, oh, that's really cool, I'll buy that. It's the same thing with Pinterest. A lot of times people just go on there to kind of just look at things, and then something will pop up and they'll say, oh, wow, that's really cool, I want that. So that's the power of Pinterest. Like, you can really use it to sell a lot of books. And I don't think authors think of that it's like that, but it's really true. The other thing is 50% of people will buy a product after seeing it on Pinterest. Like I mentioned, it's a lot of people go on there just to kind of browse, and it's like a fun way to shop.
And it's a cool way. I have plenty of friends who use Pinterest to have these boards that are, these are the gifts that they want at some point. When someone is like, hey, what should I get you for your birthday? They have a Pinterest board already created for them, and they're using it to put all kinds of stuff on there. So, why wouldn't a book be a great example of that?
The other thing, this is what I really love about Pinterest, is that you don't really need any followers. Really, in order to build a huge audience, to get your pins seen, to get any traction with Pinterest. Like there are people getting millions of pins who have just a couple followers. It doesn't matter that it's not like Facebook where it's sort of like a popularity contest, or like the amount of likes and followers matters. Pinterest, that doesn't matter in the slightest.
Yep.
Which I think is kind of liberating.
It is. We all need a little liberation from that, I think.
But I think that that's something that brings to the last point, where it's super easy to get everything set up really quickly. You can start getting your pins seen right away. You can start getting a lot of pins, people pinning your pins right away. And you can also start getting a lot of traffic to your website and to your book right away. Like I said, if you're starting from scratch.
Yep. This is something that I would love to talk to you really quickly, because I remember kind of jumping onto Pinterest and really just focusing on pinning my book cover and making sure my book was there and the link to purchase my book was there. And that was fine. But when I started really getting into Pinterest, I realized that it wasn't just generating sales for my book, although that was nice. What it did really was drive people to my website for other things that I had there, my blog posts. And we'll talk about this later, but Pinterest is not just a great way to sell books, but it's also a great way to grow platform. And we talk about that a lot at Evergreen Authors, like the importance of just creating and growing your platform in a way that's organic to you. And this really, Pinterest makes that really simple.
Yeah. And I really think that that's the number one benefit of Pinterest for authors, more so than like straight book sales. I feel like Amazon's maybe more the place for just, straight up book sales. But for building an author brand, for getting people to know you, know about your books, for you to become a leader in your niche or known in your niche, Pinterest is, I think, the fastest way to do it. And I've got some amazing numbers to show about how powerful Pinterest is and how you can grow an author platform extremely quickly for free with Pinterest.
Let's go to your page though, because people might not be totally familiar with Pinterest.
Right.
Or maybe they've just, a couple times hopped on there and they've seen, a screen that looks like this and they're intimidated. So maybe it's just good to go to like this is like a basic Pinterest.
Right. And I want to talk about also my Pinterest story, because when I started, like I said, I was just an average user of Pinterest. I only used it to like pin recipes or gardening things, books I wanted to read. Like I said, I really just used it I'd say how the majority of people use Pinterest. I had no plans really to use it strategically. And so what happened is that I'd released my book and I was doing a lot of the things that I was told to do as an author to get, my book out there, which I was on Facebook.
Of course. Were you on Twitter?
I was on Twitter.
Oh boy.
Which is, I know, and you know me, I'm very not into social media. So I was on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I had a email newsletter. I was even on Goodreads. I mean, I was doing all the things. And I was spending hours like making these really amazing like blog posts and social media posts. Like I would spend all of this time doing this, right? And I would check my stats for my website, and there was like nothing, like nobody was coming to my website. I was spending all of this time creating this beautiful content that nobody was seeing, right?
Yeah.
And so I
We have
was
a
really,
lot of authors who have that problem.
yeah, it was so frustrating. And it was like, well, why am I even doing this? But I also really wanted to get my book out there, and I wanted people to read it, and I wanted to sell it, and I wanted to, be a
Yep.
successful author, and just felt really blocked. And then one day, I don't even remember how I heard about it, but I heard about this course called Pinfinite Growth with Melissa Griffin, and she had a really great webinar where she talked about how you can use Pinterest to, grow your traffic to your website. And I was like, well, that sounds cool. I like Pinterest. I'll check it out. And so I enrolled in the course. Long story short, that course just changed the game completely for me. And I actually have my worksheet from that course where I had to write down like how many visits are you getting to your website right now? How many followers do you have? Whatever, you know what I mean? It was just like a baseline. And so I have it here where when I started, I had like 30 Pinterest followers. And I have like I said, followers don't really matter, but I have like 2,600 now. I got about 50 visitors to my website a month. Yeah. This is with blogging all the time, posting on Facebook all the time, Twitter, and doing all of the social media. Okay.
Yep.
50 visits to my website a month. Okay. So now I've got some, and I was checking my Facebook posts. I was getting like, like a couple likes, like nobody was seeing my posts, like nobody was seeing anything. Right. So let me just show you my Pinterest numbers, because I very much believe in being transparent about numbers,
Yep.
like every course that I have, I always share my numbers, as you know, like I think that people need to know that this stuff actually works.
Yep.
So, right now, like I said, it's really popular on Pinterest. I pulled up my analytics for the last month, right? So I'm getting almost 1 million impressions to my pins. Think about your average Facebook post. Like, how many impressions do you get on those things?
When you say impressions, can you explain what that means?
Impressions, that means how many people are seeing your pins, like how many people are seeing your content on Pinterest, right? So if you think about, if you post a post on Facebook, you get an average number of like a couple impressions. If you have a bigger audience, you might get more impressions, but even still, almost 1 million impressions is pretty amazing. Usually you can't get these kind of numbers on Facebook unless you're paying for it.
Right.
Right. Now the audience, like I said, this is reaching an audience of about 745,000 people, which is amazing. The engagements, that's how many people have actually like clicked on, pinned, like done something with your pin, one of your pins. So that's 38,000, right? And so an engaged audience is people who are actively engaging with your content, with your pins. So it's like 30,000 people, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, well, that's cool, like that's a lot of people, and notice that it's gone up a lot the last 30 days. And that's because a lot of people are at home.
Yep.
So these numbers are a little bit higher, but I will say like every November, December, this is about where my numbers are at. And that's the cool thing about Pinterest too, is that it's like your content is evergreen. It doesn't just go away, people can always find it throughout the year. So
that is something that I've always loved about Pinterest, is that it's very clear. If it's not clear to you watching this, let me make it perfectly clear. You're not putting anything on Pinterest that is timely. So here's a deal that I'm running just for the next week. Here's an event that I'm hosting on this day. That's not what Pinterest is for. It's for evergreen content that can be, repurposed and used for pretty much the lifetime of your author career, which is great. I mean, this is where blog posts belong.
Yep, totally. And it's so great because I wasn't even doing anything, honestly. Like I've kind of just let a lot of my stuff go on Pinterest the last couple of months because I've been busy with other things. But yet this is where my numbers are at with me not doing anything. And so I think that's pretty amazing. Now, some people are probably like, okay, well, that's cool. Like these are some really high numbers just on Pinterest, but like, does this mean you're getting traffic to your website? Well, I pulled my traffic to my website. These are my stats from my author website. So you can see now, remember when before I started using Pinterest strategically, I was getting 50 visits a month. Okay. So now I'm getting like almost 7,000 a month.
Yep.
And I fluctuate now between about 5 to 10,000 visits to my website a month, all completely for free.
Yeah.
And
It's
that is
powerful.
because of Pinterest. The other cool things that have happened that I noticed once I started getting more traffic is that I started getting a lot more invitation to be on people's podcasts, to be on radio interviews. Oprah's producers called me. They told me they found me on Pinterest specifically from some pins that I had done.
I think as much as Josie's a success story here, I do think that Pinterest is not, the results do vary. And I think that there are a few genres that do better than others on Pinterest. So, gratitude, for example, is anything in self-help is probably a great example of that.
Yes.
If you are a cookbook author, you would be insane to not be on Pinterest. I write for teachers and young people and educators. So teachers are on Pinterest all the time. So it's a really great place for me. If you are a straight up fiction author, or a fantasy author, and you're not doing any like extra content, it might, your results might look different. But again, since this is a free platform and it's not social media, it's more just like a kind of a big search engine. You may as well hop on there and see where it takes you.
But this also, like, the thing is, what we talk about evergreen authors is like, you got to find what works for you. You know what I mean? And if you are feeling right now like, yeah, Pinterest, this sounds great. Like, I think I could do this. This is my genre. Like, keep watching then. All right. But if you're like, oh, I just don't think I'm going to get this, I don't think this is for me, then stop watching and go to one of our other many resources that we have for authors. Okay.
Yes. No anxiety building here. That is like the anti-evergreen authors philosophy. That should be easy.
Okay. So let's talk about how, because I'm sure that people are watching like really hyped, like, how do I do this? How do I do this? So we're going to talk about our 3 P's of success on Pinterest. We'll show you how to be more strategic right now. The first one is to create a powerhouse Pinterest profile. We're going to walk you through each of these step by step. How to create pin-worthy posts, and then how to put your pins on autopilot. All right, so let's dig in. I put exclamation points at the end of these because they're very important. So
they are.
Let's start with the profile. The first thing you want to do is to set up a Pinterest business account. If you don't have one already, there's a difference between a personal account and a business account. With a business account, you get way more features. You can see your analytics. You can run ads if you choose to. It's much more robust. You can add your website to it. It's super easy to do.
Super easy.
Yeah. So just set up a business account. Step 1. The next thing is to create a Pinterest bio with keywords. Mine is like, I help people navigate this world with gratitude and grace, because I write about gratitude, right? So
yeah, and Pinterest really forces that kind of bumper sticker test, as you call it, to happen, because there's a character limit. You have to be precise, to the point, and those keywords are going to be those words that people are going to use to find you. I think, you have to kind of get into your ideal buyer or reader's head and be like, gosh, how would they be using this tool, and how can I get in front of them? So, whatever that very precise short sentence is, spend some time on it. We'll show Josie's example. It'll make more sense.
Yep, totally. The other thing is to create 15 boards specific to your niche using keywords. And so we're going to walk through each of these step by step. Okay, so here's my bio page. So you can see, my title is The Gratitude Jar, which is the name of my book, my first book, and then Josie Robinson, right? So my title, you can name your page something relevant to your genre. So if you write, say, like a vegan cookbook, you could be The Vegan Cookbook. I mean, honestly, like, that's the deal with Pinterest. It doesn't have to be super clever or whatever. It can just be straight up descriptive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But so you can see my bio here. I say, I help everyday people navigate this crazy modern world with gratitude and grace. Now, I could even make this even more specific, like I'm a self-help author of inspirational self-help books, but
Yep.
I chose to do it this way. When you look down at my boards, you'll see a definite theme to gratitude challenges, vintage book covers, best of the gratitude jar, gratitude jars.
Yep.
There's a lot of keywords here with the word gratitude in them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I write about. So I'd say step one is to create a profile with that is like really specific to your niche. So if you have like a whole bunch of boards, you know, like recipes or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, unless you're a cookbook author, what you really want to do is to create a profile that's really specific to your niche, so that like if a reader was coming to your page, they would know and that what you were about.
Yep. And I think that if you are not a self-help author who is in gratitude, the art of writing about gratitude like Josie is, all you have to do is go onto Pinterest and search some of your favorite authors. They're probably already on there. Go see what their bios say, see what their boards are like. I'm not saying that you copy everything explicitly, but get some inspiration there. It's the same with building a website. It's the same with building a social media profile. Like, you really don't have to recreate the wheel as much as you might think. Just go and get some inspiration from people in your genre that are already doing it well.
Totally. And the other thing too is people are like, oh, I already have a Pinterest profile. Do I need to create a new one? Because I still want to use Pinterest as a regular person. Like, you do not have to. Like,
Correct.
You can make your boards secret. If you like, I have a ton of secret boards that aren't on this page. Like, I choose what boards I want to display. So the boards I display are just related to like gratitude and books. But you just want your just look at your page as somebody would look at it like a reader, and can they figure out what genre you write in, what you're about? That's kind of like what you're going for here.
Yep.
And so, like I said, you want to have about 15 boards. This does not have to be hard. It doesn't have to be all your pins either.
Definitely not. Don't overthink it. You know, I think people really get like kind of overwhelmed with this. And I mean, if you just allow yourself to just, you know, you have life-changing books right there, you know, books I recommend, books I want to read, books that have inspired me. You know, those are 3 different boards just off the top of your head.
My first step that I always start with is creating the profile and creating 15 boards. And I just pin other people's stuff to make it look like an active Pinterest account.
This is where any author who is doing more than just selling their book, but maybe creating a business around it, or if their book is part of their business, you have the opportunity to really have fun with it and learn yourself. You know, you're not just creating these boards for nothing. Like, I refer to my boards all the time. I've pinned things there that I genuinely value, and like, you know, other websites that I've really learned a lot from. So this isn't something that's just, you know, you're creating some facade. You're using it to build a business.
Once you've got your profile set up and it's all blinged out, you want to start creating some pin-worthy posts. So what pins tend to do well on Pinterest? So the thing is what you want to do from your website is you want to create some blog posts that Pinterest loves. And I want to say also, like, you don't have to create like a bunch of new blog posts like all at once. Like, I honestly have probably written about 20 blog posts total in the past however many years I've been published. And I just keep pinning new pins on those same posts over and over again. So here are the articles if you're looking for inspiration about what posts do well on Pinterest. Like any kind of how-to article does really well. So I had a friend who runs a business for people with special needs. And so she wanted me to help her with her Pinterest profile. So how to find a high quality caregiver for your special needs child.
Great blog post.
Ultimate guides. Like I said, any kind of tutorial. People are going onto Pinterest to learn things a lot of times. So the ultimate guide to finding a reliable daycare provider for your autistic child online. Right? Listicles. 5 best care websites for parents of special needs children.
Mm-hmm.
And inspirational posts. People love to
Mm-hmm.
go onto Pinterest to get inspired.
Mm-hmm.
5 inspiring motivational quotes for moms of special need kids. So those posts tend to do really, really well on Pinterest.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me add something really quickly, because we've worked with a lot of authors who say, like, I've got a few posts like this, but the vast majority of my posts are just, kind of like journal entries and like diary entries. And I think what I want to say to those authors listening to this is that those posts still are wonderful, and they're
Mm-hmm.
part of your platform, and you should leave them where they are and don't take them down like you've done something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
These are just the ones that Pinterest is going to gravitate for, because no one's going to go on to Pinterest and say, and search for some feelings about the day, right? Like, that's not what they're
Right.
looking for. They're looking for stuff like this. So just going forward, if you're able to take any of those more like journal type entries and make them more into lists or how-to article, just use it going forward. I think it's kind of, I'm remembering an author that we worked with who was saying that, she's like, should I just delete everything? I've done this wrong. And it's like, no, leave
No,
it.
no, no. Yeah.
Because what you're doing is drawing people to your website through these high quality pins. They're going to find that other stuff there too, but they're
Totally.
just not using Pinterest to find that particular post.
Okay. So once you've written a really pin-worthy post, or just repurpose some of your content that you already have on your website,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of authors probably don't even realize how much gold they already have just sitting on their website that just needs to be repurposed.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Once you've got that, then you want to create beautiful pins. Now, this is the most important thing.
This is the stuff right here.
This
Yeah.
is the number one thing, because
Mm-hmm.
Pinterest is so visual.
Mm-hmm.
You have to create beautiful pins, basically. You have to have beautiful pins. And so you want to choose a theme. And I'll show you what my pins look like so you can see what I mean by this. But you want to stay on brand.
Just stay on brand. And if you don't know what that means, then go to other authors in your genre and see what they are doing.
Yes.
And this will all come together for you.
Totally. And
Don't
so,
overthink it.
No, and a way to stay on brand, because a lot of people are like, I'm not a graphic designer. I can't make
Yes.
these beautiful pins. Use Canva.
Yes.
Use
Canva. Yeah.
Canva.
Canva is one of the most important inventions of our time. Would you
Totally.
not agree,
I
Josie?
completely agree.
I am not a visual person myself. I do not do graphic design. I'm not good at colors and all that kind of stuff. Canva does all the template work for me. It's free. It's easy to use. If I can use Canva, anybody can use Canva. That is how easy it is to use.
And they have ready-made templates for you.
Oh, it's
so
no, there's no excuse to not have beautiful pins like these.
No. So for example, these are 3 of mine. You can see the theme. Like I said, I'm inspirational self-help. And so all these images, these colors, this font, it evokes a certain feeling, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. The thing that I think is important to add here, and it goes to the point we talked about earlier about how Pinterest is very protective of these beautiful pins and content. I have worked with many authors over the years who have said, well, I'm active mostly on Facebook. So I'll just take the graphic that I made on Facebook and use it for Pinterest. And you'll notice that it is this, it's a very specific shape here. There's a very specific rectangle that is the image that you scroll through Pinterest. This is what it looks like. If you try to put in a shape that is not this exact shape, it's going to distort your image. It's going to cut something off. Pinterest will know, is what I'm saying. So you can't get lazy with this. If you have, again, quality over quantity. So even if you just start with one blog post that you make a really beautiful pin for, that's better than trying to just post a bajillion different things with a really kind of, well, I don't know how to say this in a nice way, but in with a graphic that you have not put any effort into.
Totally. Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally. I know exactly what you're saying. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. Well, and so you might look at this again and say like, "Oh, I couldn't make these beautiful pins. Oh my gosh." But again, this is Canva. I have it
Mm-hmm.
circled. This is the template I use. I literally just ripped this template, put
Mm-hmm.
in a new picture, and wrote in the name of my post.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So all of these surrounded, these are already made Pinterest templates for you with the right dimensions, the
Yep.
right, like these are the colors and pictures that Pinterest likes. So you there, and they have hundreds of these templates.
Oh, and they're always adding more. And the thing
Yeah.
that I love about all of these, particularly the one that you are showing here, is that it has room for you to put your website at the bottom. I
Yeah.
think it's really important that authors do that. If you're leading people to your website, just have that be, if you have a logo, throw that on there as part of a template that you are using, because you want that to, these images are going to be seen many multiple times, and you want people to think, oh, the gratitude jar. Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that lady on Pinterest? So you want your website to be shown on there if possible, not in a big flashy way, but just in a very muted way like this one.
People are still watching like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Like, is this expensive? Canva is totally free. I mean,
Free.
it's
Mm-hmm.
it's a gift to the world, I have to say.
It is.
So there's if you're really like, I can't do this, then just hire it out for super cheap on Fiverr and like get somebody to put together a bunch of pins for you,
Mm-hmm.
because this is really important. This is a step you do not want to skimp on. But I can guarantee you that you can do this, especially if you use Canva. It's all done
Mm-hmm.
for you. Just type in the name of your blog post. That's it. All right. The other thing I want to mention about Pinterest is, and this is something that's come to light in the last like year or so, the importance of what they're calling fresh pins.
Mm-hmm.
So Pinterest really rewards pinners who are constantly posting fresh content. The trick is that it's not necessarily they're posting new posts, they're just posting new pins.
Mm-hmm.
So what this means is that you can just continue to create new pins for your posts over and over again, and Pinterest
Mm-hmm.
will reward you. So for example, this is my post that went viral at the beginning of this year, this 5 unique morning rituals that will change your life. And you can see I've created a bunch of different pins just for this one post. It's
Mm-hmm.
way easier to create new pins than it is to like write new posts.
Exactly.
Okay, here's the other thing. So start with the posts that Pinterest loves to create beautiful pins. Now, the next thing, when you're ready to pin your pin,
Mm-hmm.
you want to write really strategic descriptions for your pin that use
Mm-hmm.
keywords and hashtags. You don't want to be like,
Yep.
here's my pin. You want to write something
Yeah.
that is going to, because like I said, Pinterest is a search engine. You want to write it with keywords that will pop up when people are searching for them.
Yep. And hashtags are important
Hashtags
there. It
too.
doesn't seem like they would be, but Pinterest does use hashtags. So it's just another excuse for you to use them well to your advantage.
Make sure your links work.
Ooh, yes. Not too many links too, you guys. Everybody wants a quick, clean link from one place to the other. So make sure that all of your links are going to the right place and that it's easy to click on and easy to see.
Yep. And this ties in with that. Lead them to the post that delivers on what your pin promises. So my post about 5 unique morning rituals leads them right to this really rich post that walks them through 5 unique morning rituals. It's a long form post that has like tutorials for each thing. People feel like they got exactly what they were looking for when they get to it. So let me show you an example of a pin. So this is one of my most popular pins, which is how to start a gratitude jar. And what I have circled is my description that I wrote in. So I'm just going to read it to you so you can see what kind of description you'd want to write. And you'll notice the keywords, right? What is a gratitude jar and how does it work? Read on to find how to create your own DIY gratitude jar and use it to create more happiness plus harmony in your life. Hashtag gratitude jar, hashtag thankful, hashtag positive vibes, right? So that is a super strong description. So there are so many keywords in here that when people are searching for DIY gratitude jar,
Yep.
create happiness, gratitude jar. How does the gratitude jar work?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of places for people to find this pin because of this description.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are writing it, think about what people might be searching for. And you can actually go into Pinterest and just type into the search box different search terms and
Yep.
then use those in your description. That's what I do a lot of
Exactly.
times. It's like
Exactly. And
easy.
again, look at authors who have already done it. Look at people already just don't overthink it, that you don't have to spend hours coming up with the perfect description.
Mm-mm.
This is just your formula, and just, do it.
Like I said, just think of it as a search engine. That's all you need
Yep.
to do. What would people be searching for this pin?
Yep.
Okay, so I think we're on the, yep, the third one, put your pins on autopilot. This is
Mm-hmm.
a game
Mm-hmm.
changer.
Yeah. We never want people doing things manually
No,
if they can help it.
no. If you can get a robot to do it for you, you always want to
Right.
choose that option.
Yep.
Because I'm sure some of you are like, oh my gosh, how, if you're creating like 20 pins for a post, how am I supposed to pin all those? And,
Mm-hmm.
do I have to pin all those at once, or is it better to pin them spaced out? The reality is it is better to pin them spaced out
Mm-hmm.
in intervals than it is to just pin a bunch of posts at once. And that is something that Pinterest will flag people for. If they see accounts that are just pinning hundreds of pins at once,
Yeah.
they tend to think it's like a spammer or a bot. And so they won't push that content as much. So they do like things to be spaced out. And also, when you can put your pins on autopilot using Tailwind, which is the program I'm talking about, it is like such a time saver. I mean, it will just pin out your pins. You can push them all into the system and then it'll just pin them out for you at optimal times. And you can just go read a book or write a book or do whatever it is you want to do.
Yes.
So Tailwind is the program that I use. It's the only one that Pinterest actually endorses.
Mm-hmm.
And that is important because there used to be there are different schedules out there that you can use. But Pinterest is very particular about what they will allow for auto scheduler.
Mm-hmm.
And the other way to put your pins on autopilot is by using paid advertising. So these are the two ways we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll talk about Tailwind first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, when I'm ready to create like a bunch of pins, I'll create a bunch of pins and then I'll throw them into Tailwind. So you can see here on step 1, this is what it looks like on the back end of Tailwind. This is my Tailwind schedule. So what that means is it's going to push out 3 to 4 pins a day, spaced throughout the day at optimal times for me. It'll just do that on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just spend a couple hours a month, push them all into Tailwind, and then I'm done. I don't have to do anything else for the rest of the month.
Tailwind is a game changer. It's a total game changer because Pinterest rewards pin-worthy posts. It rewards active users, and Tailwind allows you to be pin-worthy and active without being chained to the actual program itself.
Totally.
So it's really an amazing resource to use. And I'm always finding something new on Tailwind. Every time I hop on there, I'm like, oh, that's kind of a cool new feature. Like they are very engaged with Pinterest because they know that they're the only scheduler for them.
They're it.
And Pinterest, I think it's a very good relationship between the two of them. So that is to your advantage if you're using Tailwind for the first time.
And you can, and I create all my pins in Tailwind. So number 2 is just what it looks like to create a pin in Tailwind. And so you can pin it you can create one pin and then you can pin it onto multiple boards. So I'll usually I'll have one pin and then I'll pin it onto 4 different boards at the same time. I write my description, add it to my schedule, and I'm done. The other thing that you can do on Tailwind, which is really cool, which is step 3, is they have this thing called Tailwind Tribes, which is where you have groups of pinners who come together around a specific topic area and share pins to their audiences. So for example, I'm part of it's like a self-help tribe basically. And so I'll pin my pins onto this tribe, and then they'll pin to their followers, basically. You know,
Are
getting the
we
right
ready to
shot.
talk about?
Let's talk about advertising.
Totally. Yes. Okay, so here's what I'm going to show you guys, and so we're recording this right now in April, and in order for me to go all the way back in, because I don't advertise all the time on Pinterest, I advertise only in the summer on Pinterest, and the reason is because I am a teacher and I write for teachers, and my book is for educators, and in learning about my book and the analytics behind it, I know that for my books, summertime is when people are looking for my content. And when I say people, I mean teachers. So that's the time that I know I need to maximize it on Pinterest. Now, I'm not able to go back to my analytics from last summer to show you this, but basically, if you go back into the analytics of your business page, you'll be able to do that with a business account. You'll see the first thing that I want to just point you to is to the box on the right hand side. So you can see that on January, in January, the month of January, things were clearly like, real active with my account. And there were a few separate things going on with that. I had a separate campaign going on. I was more active on my website. And I was using Tailwind all the time. And then right around, the 1st of February, I didn't renew my Tailwind subscription. And that's
it makes a difference. I'm telling you.
To my analytics. So I did want to show that as part of the Tailwind thing, but really, more than just understanding the power of Tailwind, this really kind of shows something that we talk to all the time at Evergreen Authors, which is like the book sales cycle and understanding when people buy your books. And why would my numbers go up in January as a teacher? I know why. It's because teachers are buying things that they need for the second semester of their classroom, right? So that does make sense. I'm sure if we looked at Josie's November sales, or
it's crazy.
it would look, so every book is going to be different like that. And when your book has been out for a while, then it means that you can use this data to your advantage. So if you go to the left-hand side where you see the screenshot there, that is an example of how to promote a pin and put some dollars behind it. I have got to tell you, I find Pinterest's way of advertising so simple, it's almost scary, because it is like you have your pin, and I didn't add, I have all that wonderful content, my little description and lots of hashtags and all that kind of stuff. It tells you, okay, here's the pin. You get to decide where you want to lead people with that pin. And I'm having them go to my digital download page, which is on Teachers Pay Teachers, which is a website just for teachers, because I have found that a lot of teachers are using that particular website. They're also using Pinterest. So I'm just leading them there instead of to my website. If I have a blog post, I obviously will lead them to my website and not to Teachers Pay Teachers. But in this case, I want it to go to teacherspayteachers.com, and you set your daily budget. So $5 a day is a fancy cup of coffee. And then for 10 days, I'm going to do that particular ad. And then where it says step 3, and it says to promote your pin, it's just a place for you to put in your targeted demographic. So you can make a list as long as you like. If you've taken our algorithm alchemy class, it's very similar to, finding those keywords of people who are searching your book. So in the summertime, when I am promoting my pins, particularly something like this, I am using keywords and phrases like bell ringers for the classroom, back to school ideas for teachers going back to school. I have lists. I want to say I have like maybe 75 keywords that I use for an ad. And the nice thing about Pinterest too is that as you're creating this ad, and it's really kind of more of a boosted post than anything else. But as you're creating it, they are very transparent about how many people they expect that particular hashtag to reach. So that's really nice. So for me, again, as someone who's looking at this with, the data in mind, I might go in there and say, homeschooling ideas, right? Well, maybe that maybe that reaches 100,000 people. But if I put homeschooling tips and tricks, that will reach 500,000 people. And so that tells me that's a better keyword. And that's not even something that Amazon can do for you, which is pretty cool.
I wish Amazon did that.
I know.
An awesome feature.
Maybe someday in the future. But anyway, I do find that if you get lazy on Tailwind, if you just feel like, I don't feel like scheduling anything out right now, or I don't have a whole bunch of content and I really just have this one pin, I really love my book cover, it's just going to sell my book for me. Instead of doing Tailwind, you could, or, both and I guess, just, see what happens. If you have
just run ads on your
$5
book
a day for 5 days, see what happens to your analytics, and then go from there.
Right. So we want to give you guys options where you can go all in on Pinterest, create posts, use Tailwind, create fresh content, or you can just create your profile, run a couple Pinterest ads, and still get a lot of great results, build a platform really quickly, for really cheaply. It's such a good deal for so many authors.
Yeah. And I should say this particular, the analytics that are on the right-hand side here, this was just for one pin. This isn't for like my whole, profile. So I don't know if I mentioned that, but I feel like it's worth mentioning because you can literally drill down that specifically. Like, how is this one pin doing?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of amazing how dramatic
I know, right?
The drop was. Yeah.
I know. And then I renewed.
Well, yeah, like I said, I know I had the same experience with Tailwind when I was like, well, I'll just let it go. And then I noticed a huge drop in my traffic. And I'm like, why not just re-up this? I'm glad I did. So let's wrap up. Create a Powerhouse Pinterest profile. You guys could do this in an afternoon. I mean, create pin-worthy posts. So you could just start with one post that you already have, repurpose it, or create a post specifically for Pinterest on your website, and then go into Canva, create some images, or go onto Fiverr and hire somebody to do it for you if you're really intimidated by it. But we believe that you could use Canva to do this yourself. And then last, put your pins on autopilot. Either use Tailwind or do some sponsored posts on Pinterest during your peak times of sales. That's really it. If you do these three things, I promise it's going to be a total game changer for you as an author.
Yep.
Really.
Yep.
Now, if you've watched this and you're like really excited, then yes, do these things, please. But if you're like, I just don't think this feels right. Like I said, we are really conscious here at Evergreen Authors we really want authors to feel joy about the marketing that they're doing, not dread. So we really want you to find something that works for you. So we really try to give as many different options as we can to authors about marketing. So if you're feeling like, I don't know if this is for me, we have a bunch of free resources on our website right here at evergreenauthors.com/free resources. Mini courses, workshops. I mean, so many downloads you can use to learn different ways of marketing if you wish. Also too, we don't have a course specifically for Pinterest. There are great courses out there you can take. Pinfinite Growth by Melissa Griffin was the one that I took that I found to be really helpful if you are interested in doing a course. What we've found from working with so many authors is that a lot of authors prefer more like one-on-one support with this. And so if you wanted to work with us, have us do like a Pinterest takeover for you, or coach you through this process, you can just contact us, send us an email, and we can talk about how we could help you with that if you were interested.
Absolutely. All right. I'm so excited that we did this because we've had so many requests for this particular webinar that it feels good that the information is going to be out there. We're hoping that we hear from a lot of you, and we can't wait to hear your success stories on Pinterest.
Yeah, Pinterest power.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. We will see you hopefully at the next workshop.
Yep. Sounds good.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.